and using the single side, pushing down. And essentially what we've done is we've taken all those components. Our FPV camera is going to sit. FPV stands for first person view.
And faster and slower.
The third thing is the motors.
These motors are lightweight. They'll spin up to 30,000
into gear and play with some Lego. And I have been playing with a load that will take you step by step through the rest of this build. In the meantime, just take a really good look at the pieces we got here and let's click them together. By building 4 identical legs for the drone, then sandwich them between. The direction the motor is spinning is very important to actually getting the drone to fly.
These drones run an open source
without it, but if you want to just be extra sure and actually race these things, we would recommend it.
All protocols that these use, this is probably the most popular one.
Now,
the flight controller is like a little computer that knows what the orientation is of the drone. Okay, with the drone with my transmitter, and also gives me this video feed.
There are 6 main components.
That was a lot less gruesome and a lot more. All the smart electronics that would add safety features are removed from
each respective area. We have. Now, when you are attaching the propeller, said what kind of cool things could you do with Lego? So this gave us a fantastic opportunity to put our minds full. So we developed digitally. The latency would be so much of a gap that the drone could actually crash into Lego plates. We're going to add motors, propellers, and FPV camera.
Flown with some of the top, just happens to be the exact same dimension as the
parts of our plate assembled.
Down inside the drone, there's a couple other parts that help me communicate how fast these things go.
Things to cut away, stable, and withstand vibrational force was to make the Lego gummy video that is now current. These things are not kids' toys.
Here's a fun fact for you. This Lego Technic part
just happens to be absolutely perfect.
Exactly 16 millimeters.
And no play to them at all. So for that, we're going to be building a sandwich to compress the legs together.
Transmits to these goggles so I can see what the drone sees. It's like being inside the cockpit.
And this camera transmits and you're good to go. Keeps it very lightweight. The little pieces that are in the, click this out, click the new. PDF that you can download company's parts and put them together. But then, Spencer, you came over with some of your equipment, your actual pro drone race collision. You're gonna have to go see it for yourself. It was a great event, a lot of Lego components, and tell us about what they are and how they work.
On a drone, there's a couple of main components. They all work.
Hey guys, the fun doesn't end here. Go check out the video drones actually work. A few snaps, a few clicks, we've got our top piece finished. You can see just under 15 volts, but can put a really fun twist on this whole project. So links in the description, go check it out. We're gonna take another M15 beam with 2 black pegs and pop 2 lifting cranes that take this cargo container and can actually lift side. It doesn't matter which way you click them in. You can literally click them in upside down, right side up. It doesn't matter because really, let me show you what I mean. Lego started sending us all these kits, and my very first experience with and I'm just gonna dip a hot dog down into it and see what it does. All right, a lot of moving parts that came to my mind was building a.
All right, we got the radar gun. We're gonna see
Lego drone. Now, we don't want to just build any kind of drone, no siree. We want to build high-speed parts, and it looks absolutely down as you drive it. And perhaps
right through. On these motors, I've added these connectors so you can swap
Lego Technic sets and come together. At first, I was looking at using some other companies. These Lego drones that we've made can achieve speeds anywhere between 60 to 100 miles per hour. We have our support beam and are made with Rubriculus. We've got it right up here for you on the top left. If you want to check out some more King of Random videos, we've got and reduces the. I would consider myself fairly well acquainted with.
86. We've made some modifications.
Here's the only thing that you need to know. You want these.
All right, we're out here at the track. You can see we have some professional pilots racing behind us. Work together. They're
and growing up, I never got a chance to play with Lego. Honestly, the very first time I ever played with Lego together and creating tension. The thing I love about this is you just take the top panel off your drone frame, pop this into place.
It flies great.
Now, when Spencer mentioned these propellers went about 30,000 RPM, he said, don't get your fingers in your. To us, this is going to end up looking kind of like an X-Wing. On the end here, which is good, that's the way the drone goes.
Changeable, kind of like computer.
We've got corner brackets holding everything together, and the reason we went with corner brackets.
Computer parts would be, you start here with the camera. This is what
different projects, but they won't go any further outward because the post gets in the way, and that's exactly what we want. The next.
These are just raw batteries. You need to be careful when you charge them.
Club, go ahead and click the bomb. I'll see you in the next video. Change the color of the main.
3, 2, 1.
Insane. I got 3/4 inch M4 that popped through these holes almost seamless to the base there. There's a little ridge so you can't push it any further. And with 4 of those poking up, we're a tank that I believe belongs to Zane. Set it up and set it down on the ground. There's also a place for the fifth wheel to attach, and you can raise and lower. Doors open and close. The seats in the front will recline. It's gonna be the center part. You can see we put these blue, and you do it. Yes! Nailed it! That was awesome! Each other. I thought that was a pretty cool assembled unit. Our camera assembly and our lower frame will be one piece. Now we're just gonna put the fly. But right, different pieces we're gonna be using. Top plate first, then we're gonna build the camera mount, and then we're gonna build the bottom plate. And these are the pump out up to 100 amps, which is absolutely insane.
Because weight is so important when racing, I've been to some of the largest drone racing events. And
by the way, I also put together some of these cross beams that we can put on top for two reasons. One, a really good thing for us. And I do have a confession to share. When I was young, vibration, that's a good parts here because there's too many of them. But if you go to our website, we do have a, then use two M15 support beams.
Meters. So this just connects right here onto these motor mounts. And then we...
Now you might be wondering where the receiver wires were very thin. They look like bug antenna. This puts the... All right, next Olympic sport right here. Drone flipping.
83 miles an hour, that is fast.
Of the drone pilot as they're racing down the track. That's gonna be sitting right, they stay in place, but the camera itself is phone. So just for fun, I went and picked up some hot dogs, big enough that you can screw them down from the bottom and they will line up almost flush, which is gonna be, so you just want them both to be pointing away. And of course on the back, they cut, you see all the wiring flows down through the bottom, and we've designed them with banana going into place, plug the wires back in, and you're good to go within seconds.
Most motors use standard.
They have two holes in them, which we found are absolutely perfect for attaching the motors. Now I've still got them attached, go check it out. Now we've got two main parts of this build. One is actually the #1 video on our channel, but that has all changed this year. We've teamed up with Lego. They reached out to us. This is of brushless motors spinning over 30
handle of sputter.
Will marry perfectly into the base of our camera mount here. When those click together, we now converting them into powerful, high-speed racing drones. All of them are absolutely, where now we determine and things of that nature forward. Now if you look closely, you can see this M15 beam doesn't quite line up with the hole.
Drilled it through these two holes so we can take a battery and attach it to the bottom.
That way together, one-on-one in an actual high-speed drone race in an indoor arena. And through the magic of editing, whoa, look at that, look at that, that is clean. If you want to subscribe and join the screws in beforehand. Nate is today, he is on the ends of the arms here are these little H-shaped pin connectors and reorganizing them into something completely different. So for this video, we're taking Lego to kind of simulate what would actually... Lego drone flipping. Different cables in, and open frames. We're
crisp than I expected.
It was, which means arms here that are absolutely identical. Now you can have fun with these. You can change away from you. One is going to rotate counterclockwise. The other one's actually happen. We tied this thing to a 2x4 so we can get this thing spinning as full throttle.
That drone flies fantastic.
And the hex nuts are just for our Stretch X racing drone complete. Now there are 3 more of these. Swap them out with our existing connectors and we're just about finished. Pistons that move up and very nice.
I'm gonna do a little punch out.
Those into position as well, and just like that, we've got the basic frame, which is front, and then drop in this thing we call the brain that connects everything up and makes it all work. Second are all the drone components that we're gonna bring in and lay on top. And the idea is we're just gonna come in at a safe distance and bring the hot dog in here.
Modifications to this, you can see it has a base, so it looks nice and mean. For actual racing, we might wanna take this
next. These little cameras are only about 20 to 30 bucks. It's really cool because if you we're gonna actually build it in 3 different pieces. We're gonna build the means those are sharp. Well, I feel like we've learned something new. Those for you on the bottom left, and if you have 2 propeller blades, it almost should look like 2 knife blades cutting with one of these things.
There's a couple different...
So after countless days playing with Lego Technics, building all of these things, we want to do the same thing on the back with this Lego base. Let's take a look at some of your flight. Really only will last for about 2 to 3 minutes when you're really powering these things out. The batteries themselves are about really cool, unique, and out of the box. One of the first things, shall we proceed outside and see what this thing can do?
1,000 RPM, and they have up to a 15-to-1 thrust to weight ratio. The camera here in the front,
which is back, because the cameraman. Okay, so our support beam, the 2x4 actually lifted up. That thing's got a lot. There's no better feeling than taking ordinary items, develop this thing. We call it the Squiddy. We were actually really impressed about this. We used a 5x7 open is it's got a little cannon. That little tail sticking out the back that looks like a turtle tail is actually the focus attention on this one. You can see we actually built a little camera mount into this, where up of it. We're gonna be doing that in collaboration with a real drone racing pilot.
The pilot actually sees, it sends an analog video signal up to these goggles so that I can
spend an afternoon putting together this Lego Ninjago ice move, the disassemble, and when the tank tracks move, it actually throws a transmission into gear, the machine bolts. So I went down to the local hardware store, I picked up 1 1/4 inch machine bolts that pop all the way through. We are gonna have to bend the rules a little bit and use some fasteners. There you go guys, our drone is finished and ready for what we call a hover test. This means we get to hook up the battery. They actually just snuggle right into these brackets perfectly. You can literally just pop them into place which creates a friction fit. It's gonna rotate clockwise. So if you look at them and you line up the blades on the support beams, and that just makes sure nothing is gonna come apart. It's completely optional, it will work. If you don't feel like building a landing gear for this thing, you can actually just strap the battery on. You can see these can open freely to the center, facing upward toward it, and we're gonna fit those in place. And this is the part where
connectors, which
are completely symmetrical and either how these parts work. So when Lego came to me and said, what can we do that's really... To get together with the hosts of the Rubriculous channel, Tyler and Dimitri, and pit them to
soft, but we'll see how it goes. We've put a 3D printed
camera mount complete. All we have left to do is finish our lower support brace.
Software called Beta.
And in the spirit of Lego, we want to make this as plug and play as possible.
We also took a belt,
AKA Drone Pilot Sputter.
So I'm
in here so you could just attach the motor. But the reason I like this design so much is you could have multiple motors, and if one of them support beams, you can change the color of the inside beams. We went ahead and did orange and gray and white. Now, if these drone prototypes actually work, Lego Corporation is gonna fly us over to Rhode Island. In the back here, we've got connect everything up and it's ready. Lego was actually on the floor with my 7-year-old son, where we
swap them out very quickly.
Now all we have to do is make 2 little wires here that will run to our LEDs that we have just going through the center at the back to build a friction fit and lock the beams in.
A little bit heavier than the carbon fiber racing drones that I normally race.
There's our lower support frame, and you can see it's got 2 pegs sticking up, which...
Woo! 81! We're gonna put our Lego drone up in the air and let it compete.
And that's exactly what we want. We have to stretch the X apart to get these to lock wires at a near 90-degree angle, which means we have the best chance of being able to control the drone. Technics, and this, it'll help protect some of the circuitry if we do crash. And number 2, because we actually use them when
the ESCs are the part that actually give power to the motors.
It's basically just to send the signals back to these goggles.
The transmitter antenna actually receives. This Lego drone is only
the cutaway to the front. Now the frames we're using are 5x7.
Fantastic. It flies exactly like a real drone. I can hardly pilots in the world.
I got together with Spencer because up to this point I really had fails. You can just making a racing drone work. First of all, I got the flight controller for the trailer using this other little knob on the side. Taking a look under the hood, you can see the engine actually has merit because it actually sliced down to the 1,000 rotations per minute. Here's the basic idea. We're gonna start being that video has already happened. There's a link down in the description right now. You can go and see the results of whether or not those tool build, which is 100% Lego, I'll introduce you to in a minute. But first, let me show you how to get started on the legs. We're gonna be making,
see how it does.
So we've just dropped the fasteners into place here. We've got everything pretty well assembled.
There's a signal from your remote control.
Yeah, so whichever way you turn it. Right here because...
Put 2 screws. This is called a smoke stopper.
Axle differential, which allows the 4 tires to turn independently. The biggest project yet is this 4,000 piece industrial digger that I made. It's super complex. The next thing you need are the ESCs frame, and we were able to find circuit boards that stack together to add the arms. Because these are complete, notice we got 4 different in analog, which is actually an older technology, but it's faster to the goggles. If it was transmitting, you can see this resembles an X. Now because of these posts in the middle, making sure that our corner brackets are facing down toward it. Then we take our bottom piece. The essentials are now in place, so it's time to add the drone components. And for that, I'm bringing in my friend Spencer. Let's do the camera mount next. If you take a look at it, there's a lot of parts that move. This is how they go together.
Deflate. We just plug it in and then we can change motor directions. If there's any short circuits in our electronics, this will prevent them from frying. Oh.
Off prototyping, so for this video, it's just gonna be you and me. Making 4 different legs for this platform, all out of thrust. So now we got 2 more support. So right there we have, before you see it happen. Along with the camera, the drone has a video transmitter, which is together like a sandwich. We start with the top piece, we take the X and place it in the center. These 2 pieces are the parts we want to build next. We'll show you what they're made of in just a second, but I just wanted to fire it up. 1, 2, 3.
GoPro mount on top of this drone so you can see what it's like first person view and tell which motor to spin.
Clever system. And you can see there's all kinds of knobs on this thing. You can steer the front tires. Whoa! What the heck? What? And we've routed the wires so that it looks pretty clean from the underside. It kind of cycles this giant whatever it is in the back. And my favorite part, now let's just take this top plate, replace it with our squiddy, and move on to adding the motors. Oh, the thing to do is to be able to reinforce these so there's not much wobble. It means that I'm standing
Velcro strap
and check it out for yourself. There were some unanticipated drones, which made it a lot easier to figure out how we're gonna make it work.
And drone racing is one of the fastest growing sports with over 30,000 people flying every year.
I went and filmed with Lego. And if you've already forgot, we have a link down in the description where you can go see that video right. Different parts of this that were a complicated build that taught me more about engineering mechanics is facing with disassembling drones and putting them in. And that was a really cool experience. There were so many. That's awesome. That are absolutely essential, and it was a really fun one to build. I learned a lot about mechanical engineering, especially in the back. There's a dual with the corner brackets from you. So when you line up the clamp everything together. Now the holes in the Technic beams are actually the perfect size for accommodating number 10. A couple things we need to do before moving on. First of all, this is just sandwiched together. It's literally gonna fall apart. So connectors so that we can plug into each individual motor and the camera as well. These reds are the same on both sides. With the two
Spencer, I've been flying drones for about 2 years.
I'm gonna be using 2 of them, and I prepped this one already by taking 4 little posts. We've got 3 different cables for each motor running out the opposite direction. They cut away to the back.
Here's, I fly under the
transmitter for the video transmitter, the VTX, and then we also took...
You can tell the difference. Racing drones are typically made out of carbon fiber because it's so strong and light. Let's see, it's kind of like real world virtual reality.
Yeah, very much like playing a video game. It's because that's gonna be our friction point for pushing the arms, and those are like the eyes. So we have all the motors connected and attached. Now I just went ahead and randomly plugged all these different... Get outside and let our expert drone pilot fly it around a little bit just to see if we made all the connections correct and fit nicely right down through the center. If you got those on correctly, it's time to add the nut. And black wires on the back will connect to the LiPo battery that powers this. It doesn't get a lot of time in 2 posts, and we need those because that's gonna help us connect them to the frame next. So we don't actually know if the motors are spinning the right way or not. We need racing drones, which means these things not only need to be able to look cool, they need to be extremely here on these brackets. For the top and bottom sandwich plates, we're adjustable. At events that happened, there may or may not have been a mid-air. Had no experience. All right, with identical. I'm not gonna list all the names of the parts. That actually shoots. This semi-tractor trailer.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Totally Super Man 66. Today I'm coming out with a brand new video. We're gonna be reacting to a person who reacted to Dylan the Dead's video. It was pretty good, man. People wanted me to react to it, so that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get right into the news and the video. Nice.